Let us discuss 04th September 2015 newspaper. The first thing is related to the center's response on SIT report. So in this article, the SIT has asked for a response from the centers on its recommendations to curb the black money in India. In that case, the first recommendation is related to the participatory notes, which are also called as offshore derivative instruments. So in this, many of the countries, the small island nations, which are tax havens, these are the major sources of the P notes. And as these P notes are transferable from one individual to other individual, tracing the original source of the P notes became very much difficult. So these are the major instruments of money laundering, and also goes against to the norms of know your client or know your source in category. Now in this context, the second thing which it has recommended is the shell companies, a proactive steps have to be taken to fight against the creation of shell companies in the country. So in these circumstances, the recent steps taken by the government of India are especially the Money Laundering Act was tightened, and the second thing is Black Money Act was passed by the parliament, and the third thing is if the P notes, the government takes strong actions against this, it may weaken the market sentiments, finally leading to a crash down of the markets. So here the government has to balance the economy and also the stock market's interests along with the black money, checking the black money through the P notes. For example, if you take the Cayman Islands, it has only 55,000 population, but the investments flowing from this region is around 85,000 crores. The P notes overall in the economy, they carry more than 2.175 lakh crores of investments. It means that shows the proportionate of money which is coming into the economy without knowing where it is coming from. And yuan devaluation. So the China currency is undergoing a competitive devaluation. So the exports of China are going to become much cheaper. So world countries are feared that it may dwindle or decrease their growth of the exports. Now what is the impact of Chinese exports or China's devaluation of currency in India? In the short run or in the medium run, we don't see any impact on the Indian economy. The reason is Indian economy is not majorly driven by export growth. And next is the macro fundamentals in India are still strong. The demand in India still is very high. And the next is the Indian economy's GDP growth prospects and also inflation levels all are in the manageable bracket, and even current account deficit, fiscal deficit, all the macro fundamentals as of now are very strong in India. So it means that in Indian economy the significant impact will be absent. But however, competitive devaluation of the currencies, it means that if every country tries to devaluate its own currency to face the China's challenge, then it's going to lead to global instability altogether. So this global instability once sets in, it may damage the Indian economy. It means in the long run, India may face the something called as a heat of the Chinese devaluation of the currency. Now in this context, the interconnections forming the trade blocks can be seen as a cushion against this kind of dangerous practices taken up by different countries. So we need to have a global collaboration against these countries taking up the individual actions based on the domestic interests alone in an interconnected economy. And the next is smart cities. So here the objective is this. Though the urban affairs minister, Venkaiah Naidu says that the smart cities are going to be inclusive and pro-poor. But however, the financing pattern of the smart cities, if we observe, it has to come from the infrastructure or taxation on the property, raising the cost of the utilities. So, among the 5,000 crores of investment which is expected in smart cities over the next 5 years, the 1,000 crores will be given by center, the 4,000 crores has to be indigenously raised. So, it means that the burden is shifting more to the urban areas or municipalities to raise their own sources So, to what extent the cities are in a position to raise these resources is the first question. And the second question, the cost of the service of the cities increases. Can it be inclusive? And the other issue over here is the decentralization is also facilitated through the smart cities mission. So the mayor and mayor in council can make the decisions over here. These are the two progressive things. And next is, already we have discussed it in Third's newspaper. With regard to oil fields, various oil fields are auctioned, that is small and marginal oil fields up to 69 were auctioned. Now, how the revenues will be shared between the government and the private entity which has won the auction. It is based on revenue sharing model rather than a profit sharing mechanism. It means that previously, after the expenditure, whatever the profits incurred, the government used to get a share. So here there is always a conflict between expenditure incurred by this particular private company as argued by the government and as argued by the company itself. Now in the revenue sharing model, so the company will be free to determine its market prices and certain share of the money which it gets, it will be shared with the government. And the second thing over here is this. There will be a fixed slab or minimum basic value will be fixed. So if the market value goes below the minimum basic value, then also the company has to pay that particular minimum value to the government. It means it is a win situation on both the ways for the government. And the second thing is, previously for every hydrocarbon category, a separate license was issued. Now a unified license will be issued in the area of exploration to a company. It means it can extract whatever the hydrocarbon available over there. So these are the progressive steps and in line with easing of doing business in India. And next is Kandhamal. The attacks in Kandhamal. Now understand, anywhere a democracy, a sound democracy, it has to protect its minorities, and justice to the minorities is very critical. Now, the communal violence scenario, whenever the communal violence is on, how swift the state reacts and how strong it reacts shows its resolve to keep an end to this menace. And after that, its action to rehabilitate these victims shows its compassion towards them. So in this context, most of the cases, the rehabilitation is delayed. And most of the people who are the victims of this are poor. It means that they don't have alternative sources of livelihood too. So then the gap between the people and the state are going to increase, and it is going to deepen the mistrust between them. And that is not good for communal harmony further. And the next, invigorating Islam in India. So here Vice President Ansari made very good observations about the Indian society. One thing is, we say our fundamental value is unity in diversity. What does that mean? In Indian society, the national identities and other identities can coexist together. The national identity will not submerge the other identities, engulf the other identities. Now in this context, lack of communication among the communities is freezing this particular growth of diversity in India. If you take Akbar for that matter, his religion, it is just like a communication or interreligious faith it is called as. So if you go through this Aini Akbari and all these things, what it talks about an interreligious communication. But this interreligious communication is decreasing in India. And if you see the Sachar Committee's report, it has said the shadow of partition in 1947 still carries on to the Muslim society in India. So they have to live on a day-to-day suspicion proving their nationality. So it means that the country shall overcome this shadow of partition to mainstream the life of the Muslims into the Indian society. And the next is the Kashmiri floods. What it is argued is the state of Jammu and Kashmir has neither the capabilities and the resources, neither the capabilities nor the resources to face this kind of floods. Then Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he has issued a package to this to this flood-driven state. But however, even after a year, I think more than a year, nothing. 2013 the floods were. More than 2 years. Nothing has come to the Kashmir yet. It means that the center lost an important opportunity to show compassion and reassurance, and also to provide a helping hand to the Kashmiris. That's what it argues for. And next is, these are the various articles which are important in today's newspaper, and I am failing to upload it regularly because of the mains program and the related work. So, but however, 1 or 2 days delays, I'll try to upload each and every document. Please try to cooperate. Thank you very much.